Let's start with our Eastern Conference breakdown. Our first team that I have is the Indiana Pacers at 15. The Indiana Pacers are finally at that rebuild stage. After years of staying competitive and refusing to tank, they finally decided to pull the plug at the bottom of the pool and start from scratch, finally cleaning the slate of the old guard and starting fresh with young players and draft picks. Although they still have a few big contracts on the roster, it looks like they finally put themselves in the position to rebuild. Starting last season, they moved their one and all-star big man, Domantas Sabonis, to Sacramento for Buddy Hield and a young promising guard in Tyrese Halliburton, who I wanted the Celtics to get, but the Kings picked just ahead of them. And this season, they finally moved Malcolm Brogdon to the Celtics for a cast-offs and a rotational player in Daniel Tice and a young prospect in Aaron Nesmith. After years of the rumors of finally wanting to move Brogdon, Sabonis, or Turner, the Pacers finally pushed a button on 2 out of the 3 and finally moved forward. This is an Indiana Pacers team that's last lottery pick with any significance was Paul George in 2010. And if you're being kind to the Indiana Pacers fans, they also drafted Kawhi Leonard a year later, but ended up trading him to the Spurs for George Hill. He helped the Spurs win a championship, then went to Toronto in 2019 and helped them win a championship, and ironically teaming with Paul George for the past couple of seasons in LA with the Clippers. But let's keep moving forward. This is a small market team that has always forever tried to make the playoffs even as a lower seed. And usually you have bypass the tanking and rebuilding and always motion towards let's stay competitive. As much as people always talk about not tanking and the integrity of the NBA, I don't hear many people talking about the Indiana Pacers. And I wonder why. A franchise that's been treading water besides the finals appearance in 2000, the conference finals in 2013 and 2014 respectively, have never garnered the attention of the NBA or casual fan outside those Reggie Miller years killing the Knicks, the Artest and O'Neal years between 03 and 05, Malice at the Palace excluded, and the 2012-2014 Pacers team with George Hill, Paul George, Lance Stephenson, David West, and Roy Hibbert. But let's keep moving to the future of this team. The depth chart goes as such. Point guard, you have Tyrese Halliburton, backed up by veteran point guard TJ McConnell. You have shooting guard Bennedict Mathurin, who they just drafted, followed by Durate. At small forward, we have Buddy Hield and Aaron Nesmith. O'Shea Brissett and Daniel Tice round out the 4 spot, and Myles Turner and Jalen Smith at the big man spot at 5. Looking at this roster, it's all about Tyrese Halliburton, in my opinion. Seeing his development as a scorer and facilitator, that's what's needed at the point guard in today. To constantly be a threat on the offensive end. Not only get shots for your teammates, but as yourself as well. You'll have Rick Carlisle, who had fallings out with Luka Doncic and analytical styles with the Mavericks, but he'll have full reins in Indiana. We'll see if he can continue to help Halliburton grow and prosper. As for the rest of the roster, you're just hoping to have impact play from Bennedict in his rookie season and see progression during the season. You're also looking to see who you can keep going forward, like Durate, Brissett, and Brissett, who had nice production as the season winded down. You're looking to see if Jalen Smith can develop into the next low-key big man who can be productive next to a point guard as Tyrese Halliburton. But the most important thing is what assets can you get for Buddy Hield, Myles Turner, and TJ McConnell. These guys just don't fit the timeline of the Indiana Pacers, and they should desperately be moving these guys for draft picks and young players who they believe they need. Buddy Hield has always been one of those fringe starters, a J.R. Smith type with streaky production and irrational confidence. $20 million is starter money in the NBA, but can also be his value as a six-man for a contending team. Which team is that? I don't know. There's been rumors to the Lakers, but also you can look at other teams like Miami who can look for shooting, a little bit more stability as a starter and off the bench. Long shots like the Clippers or the Mavericks I could see calling to inquire about Buddy Hield. Myles Turner, who has always been on the trading block for Indiana, once the one promising big man out of Texas, has had injury problems but solid production. Nearly 13 points, 7 boards, and over 2 blocks for his career. And you wonder why more teams haven't inquired about his services. He seems to fit the modern-day big man in the willingness to shoot the threes over the last couple of seasons, and he has great rim protection, ranking in top 5 in blocks the past 4 seasons. Whatever it is, Indiana has to get a first-round pick for this guy. Maybe they're asking for 2 first-rounders, and maybe that's why he hasn't been traded, but he can definitely help a team like the Lakers, Clippers, Mavericks, Bulls, Pistons to bolster their front court, in my opinion. TJ McConnell is a veteran point guard, and over the past couple of seasons, we've seen how important those guys are going into the playoffs. You need a guy like that on for your roster. He will be an acquisition for a mid-tier conference team in need of point guard depth. The Indiana Pacers are finally doing what NBA franchises that should do, that are not contending, nor yet competitive. Tear the house all the way down to the ground and start over. No more messing around with big contracts for middle-of-the-road players, nor giving up draft picks for middle-of-the-road players with middle-of-the-road results. The future is now for the Indiana Pacers, and unfortunately for the fan base, it's going to get its feet wet with a lot of losing.